Happy International Women's Day once more. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Dr. Pastor Shiju. We'll be calling you DPS for short. DPS. Thank you so much, and to the Handmaidens as well for having me. I'm really, really glad to be here. Okay, so many things have already been said. Like I was saying to them that I'm just going to come here and say they've said everything. So I don't have to say anything again. But I'll just try to hit a few things that maybe have been said, but I want to kind of just dig deeper into. Okay, so let me talk about my background very quickly. So I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from 2002, which means that my degree is extinct. Yeah, it's very extinct. It's extinct because computer science nowadays is on a whole new level. The things that I was doing, the code that I was suffering to write, my children write it in 5 minutes using apps. And I'm sitting down there and I'm like, can you see how life has advanced? So, my degree is actually very ancient. I keep saying that. And that's to tell all of us that we have to continue to upskill ourselves. It doesn't matter if you have a technology degree from even 10 years ago. Technology has gone, right? So we all have to continue to develop. Pastor Shiju is looking very concerned because she's like, I'm not even a tech person. You are saying you study this and... So the point here is that, everything is just evolving and we have to continue to evolve with it. So the gender gap actually starts in school. It doesn't start from anything other than when we're actually very, very young children. And I'm very glad that we have educators here today because we all have a part to play. Now, beyond that, I wanted to talk about the fact that we spoke about the fact that technology doesn't discriminate, right? Does it? But we do. Do we discriminate? Okay, and I want to speak to that very, very quickly. So many of us here, we're mothers, we're grandmothers, we're aunties, mentors, and all of that. The stereotypes about women in technology actually leaves women out of technology. I don't know if you agree. There's so many stereotypes. I remember when I was studying computer science, many years ago, I was one of 2 girls in my class full of Oimbo boys. And I remember coming from Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos, I graduated, I went straight to university. And I was just like, what's happening here? Me, Nigerian girl, I've never coded one day in my life, when I enter into class, and there's only one other girl, 2 of us are actually black girls, and it's full of Oimbo boys. And there's so many stereotypes about women like myself then, who study computer science, who study engineering, that you are a certain way. Maybe you don't like to be cute, you are a geek, all those words, all those things actually don't help. So all of us are actually contributing to the problem. Sorry I said so, but I had to. We're all contributing, yes, because if we don't stop the stereotypes, girls are not going to want to study technology or engineering or math, because it's like, do girls do that? And there's so many things that we subconsciously say and do that actually prevent it. So we all have a part to play. So I'm going to share some statistics very, very quickly because it's very important. So only 3% of females in Nigeria, according to a survey done by PwC, say that a career in technology is their first choice. 3%. That's very woeful, isn't it? The only subject where girls enroll more than boys within, sciences is biology. It's only biology. 17% of boys in physics and only 7% of girls in that same physics, right? And these are all parts of the issues. At the university level, we have 13% of males taking engineering courses compared to 2% of females. And women make on average about 22% of STEM university graduates in Nigeria each year. Right? And so all of these numbers are, contributing. Now, don't feel too bad about Nigeria because globally it's 35%. So if we're at 22%, well, we're not doing too badly, kind of. But the point is that this is a global issue that we all have to get into. So I'm going to share some very, very quick points just to talk about how we can all, help other women and how we can also embrace technology more to promote gender equality. My first point is access. So access leads to power. Power leads to earning more money, right? We spoke about money before. We want to go and, transform. We are all kingdom leaders. We want to go and transform societies. We want to build schools, but we need... Exactly. So access, we need access. Now, for access, I'm talking about everything from networking using technology, sharing information, using LinkedIn, using WhatsApp. Many of you here think that you don't use technology a lot, but you do. Are you not on WhatsApp? Okay, who here is not on WhatsApp? Don't put your hand up. There's one person. Okay, a few people. Okay, like 3 people. Okay, majority of us here are on WhatsApp. Now, how many of you, when you need a community, you have them on WhatsApp? When you need a community, when you need help, when you need to talk to somebody, when you're having issues with your business, when you need to borrow money, all of those things, right? So I'm saying here to us that we all actually use technology more than we realize. Now, beyond that, we also network a lot. How many of you here have been introduced to somebody on WhatsApp before? Via WhatsApp. Introduced, right? Introduced. Pastor Shidro, I'm so sure that you have been introduced. Or you don't use WhatsApp. Can you see? So you are a techie. You are using WhatsApp. You are right here with us, right? So the point I'm trying to make to all of us is that sometimes when you think about technology, it sounds like this big thing, but it's in your everyday life. You are using it all the time, whether you like it or not. All right, so the next one is education, right? And we have spoken about that quite a bit, but I want to quickly just hone in on something. All of us in here can upskill and develop ourselves using technology, no matter how much we feel like we're not into it or not, because there are many apps that we can use. There's apps like Udemy, Coursera, there's LinkedIn Learning, and they are very, very simple. My mother is 71 years old, and she uses these things. If my mom can use these things at 71, all of us here can use it. And these are short courses that you can use to develop yourself. Very, very short courses. Some of them are 10 minutes long, and they're even videos. They're very, very interactive, right? The next one is entrepreneurship. Earlier on, we saw some businesses on Instagram. Somebody is selling agbalumo from Cotonou at, they said, daylight robbery prices, daylight robbery prices. But guess what? She's selling out, right? If you want, complain about the price. Are you buying? If you don't want to buy, go. Somebody else is buying. The point I'm trying to make is that technology is powerful. You saw all the Ashwebi, all the Ankara. How many of us have been buying clothes on Instagram? Let me put up all my hands. Let me put my whole self up. There are so many. Listen, it is going to make us bankrupt very quickly. If I have started on following some pages because I'm tired of seeing the fine clothes, I'll be like, for sure you can afford it. Just buy it quickly, But the point I'm making here is that many young women who ordinarily would not have had a source of income, they are making money from selling beautiful things on Instagram. And as long as they deliver, we continue to patronize them. We introduce them to our friends and our cousins and everybody, right? So this is also something else. And you can also encourage the young women around you as well that they can actually use these things. Remember that the younger generation, because in my mind, not my generation, the younger generation, they use it more naturally than we do. They were born in the age. So don't be intimidated by all these beautiful small people around us. That's the time that they were born in. If you were born in that time, hello, you will be using it as easily as them. It's a matter of the times. They don't even have a choice. Many of them were born with WhatsApp as an appendage, right? But the point I'm making here is that many of the young women in your lives that you mentor, that you coach, that you teach, or whatever, can actually use technology as a tool to sell. So tell them that beyond scrolling on Instagram and putting fine pictures and taking selfies, they should, find ways that they can also do business with it as well. Next thing is job opportunities, right? So Etokwe had spoken about flexible work arrangement, which is amazing. Please, leaders in the room, I'm begging you, the world is not going to go back to what it was before COVID-19. We don't want to go to the office every day. Who wants to go every day again? Yes. In my office, they revolted a little bit. Even me, that I consider myself young. I said, okay, let's go from what we were doing to 3 days. They said, why should we do 3 days? Should we are having results. Let's do 2 days. After I argued, I gave up. But guess what? It's working. It's working, and everybody is happy. The women are happy. The men are happy. So why do we keep going back to what it was before? Because I need to see you every day in the office to know that you are working. As long as you have results, please, leaders in the room, thank you. Let people work hybrid. Let them work remotely. I beg you, please, please, please. Don't do it to them. The other one that, for me, is so dear to my heart is advocacy and activism. Oh, my goodness. The way that technology has helped us in Nigeria, somebody needs to do a report on it. Somebody spoke earlier about the elections and how it actually helps a lot. And this is not even, let me know, we're in the house of the Lord. Let me behave myself. I was going to say something, but I have to behave myself. Let me behave myself. This is not the technology that they told us would work. This is the one that we know is working. Where we go to our polling units, right, and we're posting, and we're sending out messages that people are hearing. Ayo was on fire. In fact, I was reposting Ayo because Ayo was on fire. You know what I mean? But guess what? That is affecting the nation. And it's affecting destinies at large. So the point here is that technology also helps with advocacy and activism. There's so many issues that us women have, issues that Nigeria has, that just by going online, it's suddenly trending. And once it's trending, you are getting the things that you need to make those things work. What about when there's a problem? I've seen so many people raising money to help people for school fees, for healthcare, all using technology. So ladies, we are all tech users here. So last but not the least, I just want to quickly say, there are many people in here whose children work remotely. Anyone here whose children work remotely? Your Your children are working remotely. Let's see. Don't be shy. Put your hand up high. Let's see you. Okay. Part-time. Okay. Some of your children have complained to me. Yeah. Last night when I was sleeping, they came to me in form of a dream. And they told me that you people don't respect that they are working from home. That when you people see them at home, you think that because they are home, they are not working. These are part of the issues, right? Yes, it's part of the issues. They told me, trust me, I will tell you their names after, the ones specifically that told me. But they said that you people are not respecting them. Because you see them on the laptop, you become, can you help me? But, mommy, I'm working, I'm in a meeting. Oh, sorry. And when you finish, no, I'm at work. So please, can we respect remote working? Some of the mommies here, they're covering their faces. Let's cover their faces for them. But the point I'm trying to make here is that even we at large have to help the community, the ecosystem to grow. Because your children want to go to a physical workplace because when they're at home, you're not honoring the fact that they are working. But they are working. They might still be making more money than you were making at their age. Oh, I didn't say it. And some of them are even working internationally, right? Some people are actually working jobs in Nigeria, and they're getting paid in foreign currency. So let's honor it, If we all do that, if we honor it, if we stop the stereotypes and we're supportive, the system would actually go a longer way. So I'm going to close very quickly with one of my favorite quotes. It says, behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back, all right? And so I just want to say that when we continue to encourage each other, lift each other up, and we also help ourselves, we will indeed embrace equality and will make a lot of positive changes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The first person on here is a woman who is doing phenomenal things in the tech space. She's the co-founder and chief executive officer of Bankly. Please let's make welcome Tomi Majekodumi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think all the mommies ahead of me have said amazing things. But first, I just wanted to share a little bit about what we are doing in the financial space. We've been talking about technology, and one of the key things we've seen is financial security. The security of your money, of your wealth, when you're using technological devices. We found out that when we are engaging people's small traders, businesses, sometimes they don't even know how to secure their digital account. Sometimes on a WhatsApp group, they will just say, I have issue, and the next thing, their password is there, their PIN is there. Some of them will send their BVN to you. And that's where we're seeing the fraud. So if we're talking about equity, for us to get more people within this digital space, it's very important that we have that financial level of security. Secondly is, we've seen what's been happening with the cashless. And businesses that did not accept digital payments started having challenges because people don't have cash. So we need to start engaging and say, so one of the things Bankly has been doing is helping small businesses accept all forms of payment. So if the person doesn't have cash, they can pay with card. If they don't have card, you can instantly recognize that they don't have to wait for someone to confirm. You have to sit down 1 hour. I can't confirm the transfer. So that's what we've been doing, and I think we'll be able to share more during the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Majekodumi. The next person I'll invite to speak for a few minutes and then invite to the panel is Head Global Partnership at Flutterwave. That's a unicorn in Nigeria. Do you know what a unicorn organization is? That they are valued at over $1 billion. Owned or started by a young Nigerian. In fact, if you see him, SARS might arrest one of the co-founders because they have dreadlocks. They just look like young boys who don't have future ambition. But they run a unicorn business. So the next lady who is going to be speaking, they don't have it in their account, so please don't go to them after the meeting. It's their organizations. And we have Hussein Yesufu, who is Head Global Partnerships at Flutterwave Nigeria.
Thank you so much, and happy International Women's Day to all. My name is Husseina Yusufu. I like to identify myself as two things: a technology expert and someone who likes to make people's lives very easy. So for me, technology is one of the things that has made my life easy. I don't like anything that is stressful, so I'm a work smarter and not work harder type of person. The reason why I said that is because for me, technology has been a journey. I'm a twin, so I have a twin brother, and growing up, if we got a new phone or a new laptop, I would just send it to him to help me set up, because I just felt like I wasn't good enough to set up a phone or my laptop by myself. I was going to break something, like everybody has said here. And then one day I was like, we were born on the same day, we've gone to the same schools, we've been trained by the same people, so why is it that I believe he can do it and I cannot do it? So I just basically had that mindset from that day and said, anything that my brother can do, I can do as well. So I got into university, I studied international business and management, and then in my final year, my lecturer spoke about something called the Gartner Hype Cycle. So basically everything we're talking about today about artificial intelligence, how basically Gartner Hype Cycle shows you technology from years back and how it has basically evolved and where it is headed to. So for me, I was like, I want to be a part of that story. I want to be a part of the people who are evolving technology and taking it to wherever it's going to. So I've been working in tech for about 7 to 8 years now, and then eventually I went to get my MBA in technology management at University of Houston, and I'll go on the panel now so you can hear more about me. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think I'll call this the Gen Z panel. Gen Z with plenty money. All right, so the next person I'll call, it's just, I hope that for these women, they represent to you the possibilities in technology. And I love what Hussein said. Hussein said that if her brother could do it, there was nothing stopping her from doing it. Sometimes it starts with our minds. Once you know you can do it, once you think it, you can actually do it. And so I'd like to invite the next person who's going to be our next panelist for today. She's the Chief Executive Officer at Harvest. Please let's make very welcome Mrs. Sholakpe Akinpelu. A round of applause, please.
Thank you so much, Ayo. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. Last minute call from two Amazons that I really admire, and I just knew that I had to be here. My name is Sholakpe Akinpelu. I'm the co-founder CEO of Harvest. Harvest is actually, think about finance by women for women with an inclusive lens. So we make it easy for women to save, impact, invest, and we give loans to SME businesses led by women and smallholder female farmers. Talking about embracing equity and the digital innovation and technology for gender equality. I just learned this morning, I have to admit, an analogy, and it was profound. Because most of the time, especially in gender mainstream, we are talking gender equality. Some people say it's not gender equality, it's gender equity. So you say, okay, so what's the difference now? And then this morning, the analogy is this, that a family, father, mother, child, they're about to go on a ride, bicycle. And then the standard bicycle was fit for the mom. The one for the child is not fit, wasn't fit because the child has a bad fit. So she couldn't pedal. And then the standard one, because the man, a hunk of a man, a 6-footer plus, couldn't ride the regular one. So what that means then is that two people have not been included in that design, and then a family cannot have a jolly ride. And so they needed to create custom fit for those people, and that's equity. And that's saying that the platform most of the time is not, level for women. And when we talk about equity, most of the time it's not a woman conversation. It's a human conversation, it's a society conversation, it's an economic conversation. Thank you so much. I'd like to appreciate Dr. Shiju for this and for everyone who had made time to do this. And before I join my other amazing panelists who have shared brilliantly, talking about tech and talking about women, I always say that tech needs women, and women, do need tech as well. I currently sit as the country director for Women in Tech Nigeria, which is the which is the Nigerian chapter for Global Women in Tech community with over 200,000 members globally represented. We just launched our Burundi chapter this past week, and we are so much about inclusiveness for women, especially in technology. And so I'll give this example when I talk about why tech needs women. And tech cannot afford, because at the moment you have low representation of women in tech, less than 15%. In 2014, I think Apple created this solution. I think it was their health app. And then it had so many things that the app could, monitor health-wise. But then it couldn't do a function needed by the half of the global population. It couldn't track menstrual health. And it got a lot of media backlash, expectedly, to say, what's going on here? Are you saying that what affects us all month, every month, all year round, doesn't matter? And it was, realized that there were not enough representation of women on the panel that built that. And so that's why Tech Needs Women, it allows for inclusive and holistic, development. And women in tech, I think that I cannot overemphasize that, as my, brilliant panelists have said. Tech roles are great roles. Tech roles move women from vulnerable roles and future-proofs their career. So let's encourage your daughters, our nieces, our friends, to help them skill up where they want to into tech roles. Like Ayo said, it pays money. I don't know about the money, but it is quite competitive right there. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really grateful. You can please take your seat. Thank you. We look forward to listening even more. We're so honored to have you here, being the president of the Women in Tech Nigeria. We have a lot of things we'd like to share with you today. All right, I'd like to invite the next panelist, Mrs. Folake Sanusi.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Pastor Shiju, Handmaidens. First of all, I have to apologize. I've not been to the Handmaidens meeting So this actually falls right in the middle of our leadership meeting at work. So I looked at the calendar today and I had to take permission from my boss that I absolutely have to do this. So we're going to try and move that around. So thank you very much for inviting me again. And I'm really excited to be here, especially listening to all the women. Actually, I don't know what else to say because everything has been said. But I'll just tell my story because I started off as a science student and I did quite well in JAMB and then WAEC, but I didn't want to stress myself. So I wanted to do something I felt was easy, like business, chemistry. I just didn't want, but my mother was very influential in my life and she made a lot of decisions. So behind me, I came in with chemistry. Behind me, by the time I got into my second year, she changed me to computer science. And I was wailing for days. I'm like, Mommy, I can't do computer science. She said, you will do it too. Why can't you do it? Those people that there, do they have two heads? You know the way our parents used to talk back then. And eventually did that computer science. Right after I finished, my parents sent me for a master's. And where I'm really getting to here is, I can't believe I'm where I am today in the tech world. I'm sorry. I can't believe I'm where I am today in the tech world. I'm representing my organization when it comes to women. I'm a distinguished data engineer, and I'm saying all this to the glory of God because I don't think I was the smartest or the most brilliant back then. And it's just to encourage a lot of women out there that don't let how you feel about yourself limit where you think you can go. Honestly, because there's so many things going on. I can't go into details, but there's some things I sometimes see myself sitting at some meetings and I'm like, what am I even going to say? But at the right time, I get utterance from, the words from God, and I'm able to, basically play my role like I should. And one thing I want to add for a lot of women is we have a lot going well for us right now. A lot of multinationals are looking for women. If you are nearly, I'm using that word intentionally, as qualified as a man, for most multinational companies that want to make an impact, they will probably choose you. And I'm saying that from the heart. I see some men that were both on the same panel, and when they talk, honestly, I think they're smarter. But I realize they're reaching out more to women. So this is the time to up your game. This is the time to step out. One last thing I'll talk about is fear of failure. That was my greatest challenge. That was my Achilles heel. And I remember my boss then told me she wanted to put me out there for what you call a distinguished engineer role. So basically across the globe. And at that time, all of them were Americans except one Nigerian. And when she came, I said, I'm not even going to think about it. So after persuading me, she said, what's the problem? So I said, what if they say no? She said, okay, it will be between me and you now, and them there. Nobody here will know locally. I'm telling you, that was how she really encouraged me. That I won't tell anybody that we put your name forward. Just put your CV together and everything. You won't believe it. Some people do it. I mean, a lot of men then had done it, and they hadn't gotten it. First try. So just to encourage women that, you really can do it. We really can do it. And last thing, get a mentor. The person doesn't have to be in the tech space. Someone that's routing for you. Mom, woman mentor that understands that you have menopausal, that can say, get a mentor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant. Thank you. We'll go straight to the panel, but as I joined them on stage, when Mrs. Sanusi said, what if they say no? The other side is, what if they say yes? What if they say yes? So every time your mind tells you, what if they say no, switch it. What if they say yes? What's the worst that can happen? Thank you so much. Right, so I'm going to go on stage now, and as promised, we're just going to, before I go on, I'm going to invite back on stage, of course. I see some people were tapping hard to be a mentor in the technological space. So please let's make very welcome Dr. Shiju Iluyomade as she joins us again on stage for the next panel session. Thank you. So as promised, I'm going to just be here to moderate the session, but would like to really get questions from the audience. Now, don't forget, if you have a burning question in your heart and you're thinking, I don't want to go and disgrace myself. What if I go there and the question is not intelligent or they laugh at me? Just do it. We're all women here, aren't we? It's International Women's Day. Anything you say is what? Accepted. It's brilliant. It's perfect. It's amazing. Please just come out and boldly ask your question. So do we have any question? It could be from earlier on. It could be from now. Some of the things that I think would be nice. Okay, I see some hands there. Please come forward. We very deliberately put the microphone in front so you have your moment of glory as you ask your question. No shyness, no holding back. We're women who are stepping forward by the grace of God. Okay, so some of the questions, of course, I'd really love for us to touch on. I know the children talked about security online, and you said something very basic. That's Tommy now, in terms of sending your BVN, PIN. And I say that because when Dr. Shiju shared her personal experience, a number of women were able to identify with it. Just that fear of, I don't want to use internet banking because I'm not sure of the security. I worked for my money. This is not money that was given to me. So I don't want a penny to be missing. And then, I'm just saying it generally because I'm trying to resist the temptation to ask questions myself. So please come forward. Okay, I see another woman there. Yes, please, come forward. Okay, Dr. Biloye has a question. So we'll take the questions, round of 3. You can either throw it open or you can ask a question specifically to one of the panelists. You've heard from them, so you know their capacity or their capabilities or expert area, so you can speak to them. The microphone is there.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Please, your name and then your question.
Yes, my name is Oludayo, and I must say that I am inspired with the quality of the speakers that have spoken today, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to, the next Handmaiden, I'll have, done one or two things technologically wise. But my question is, one of the speakers talked about STEM and STEAM, and I want to ask that, is it inclusive in the curriculum? Because where I am from, you would say I'm from the hinterland, and to an extent, myself and my husband, we try to encourage the young girls in the community to go into tech. And there's always this challenge of we don't have a laptop,
we don't have money to purchase data, and then they also come up with, we have parents that are struggling and we need to help them. So instead of going to tech-related, any tech-related thing, they prefer to go and work so that they
Okay.
earn to support the house.
Okay.
So if my observation is, if these girls had this STEM and STEAM in their curriculum, it might inspire them to want to pursue. So
All right.
my question is, do they have STEAM and STEM in the curriculum?
As part of the curriculum. Thank
Yes,
you so
and then
much.
secondly also education-wise, I have a son that has Dandy Walker, and I'm asking that, is he inclusive? Because I look at him and I see there's a tendency of him excelling and thriving in that. But in the school that he's in, there's nothing to encourage him. So is this STEM and STEAM, is it inclusive?
So you say you have a son who is, I didn't hear that. I don't know if you heard.
Dandy Walker. He was diagnosed with Dandy Walker.
Andy Walker.
Dandy Walker.
Dandy Walker. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for that. And has an interest. Fantastic. Thank you for your questions. Do we have any more? I saw another hand being raised. Yes, please. I want to take a round of questions. Please come forward. So we take a round of 3. We respond, and then we take another if there are other questions. Thank you. Your name and your question, please.
Hi, my name is Amaka Madubuko. So I work for an organization, a leadership and sports development organization, City Sports Group, actually. So we developed an app which is very inclusive. It's an all-round sports and leadership development app. This is where youths especially go to meet coaches online, virtual coaches, and to help them in sports and leadership development. We also have a community project that we do, Ijora, Sulere, and Bariga. My question is, most of the women in the community, and men also, have issues accessing the app and using it most of the time. Not that they don't have the devices, but they just don't understand why they need to go through all of that to get access to coaches or scouts or get information regarding their sports and leadership development. So my question is, how do we create more awareness to the need and the use of technology to better our everyday life, as we are a lifestyle organization, that's sports and leadership? How do we create more awareness to that for those women, for those girls and men, and everybody included in that
All right.
area?
Thank you so very much. That's a good question. We'll go to the third question, and then we will respond. There's one, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. My name is Debbie Ubaru, and I've been in tech for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And my biggest question is, for most women in tech, myself inclusive, we are majorly introverted, and which means that we do not have a voice in the workspace. And something most of us are learning, or I'm learning, is to be able to speak your truth, even in the workplace. How do we, it's fantastic to see that we have a lot of focus with getting our kids and getting our parents aware of where tech can take you. And I'm not a programmer. I started with infrastructure, core infrastructure, to build solutions from scratch. And what programs do we have to encourage young ladies to be able to excel and speak up in their workplace? And I'll give an example. I started in 2003, and in my department, I was the only lady. So we were a team of maybe 13 engineers, and I was the only babe. And then we'd go on, we'd have challenges on site, in customer site, in the telecom, and I'll fix the problem. But you don't get the acknowledgement, and you don't get the glory. It's either it's somebody else that did it, or it's the team that did it. And it affects your career growth in the industry, because you do not have the visibility to the management, and you also don't have a voice. So how are we changing that narrative for a lot of ladies, professional ladies, that are finding themselves in tech space or have been, like I said, I've been in it for 20 years. How are we helping them to change that narrative and say, you know what, you need to own your truth, own your acknowledgement, own your achievements, and speak your truth. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Debbie. Thanks. Okay, so I'd like to ask who would like take the question, Oludayo, around the curriculum. The second around her son and being able, who's shown an interest in tech, how to encourage opportunities for him, creating awareness in terms of a lifestyle organization, so other people embracing technology, so being ambassadors. And then the last one in terms of changing the narrative, discrimination that women face in the tech space. I think Felicia can respond to that one because you talked about being the only girl or perhaps two of girls out of the class. So the last question, and anyone please feel free if you've experienced this and you think that your experience can help. Tommy, I remember a video that you did that went viral. It would be great for you to share that experience as well, where people look at you and think, please, can we meet the founder? And you're like, I'm the founder. She can be. Okay, yeah, because it was a brilliant one. Then in terms of creating awareness, how to get people to embrace using technology, who would like to answer that one? Hussein, fantastic. And then with regards to, okay, I've talked about Karago, STEAM curriculum. Who can speak to? Okay, Mrs. Akinpelu for women in tech can speak to that. And then if Mrs. Issa, and curriculum, yes, or Mrs. Issa can speak, Dr. Issa can speak to that. And then I believe those are the questions. Okay. And then for children, in terms of encouraging children who have that inclination. So I'll start with you, Mrs. Akinpelu, so we can go around.
Thank you so much. So to get the question right, the curriculum, could you just rephrase?
So STEM so STEAM, science, technology, arts, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Is it included in curriculum?
Yes, beautiful. There is an evolving marriage, between STEM and the arts, and that's why today we have STEAM, right? And that is because people have realized that there are things like over-engineered products. Go straight into engineering, it does the work, but nobody wants to use it. And it does the work, but you need to get people to use it before they, experience that it actually solves a problem. And that's why you have other curriculum areas like product design, which is aka UI, UX, that is user experience and user interaction, product management, and they are fast-growing roles in technology. So there actually is, an impressive handshake between STEM and the arts. That being said, I think the lady also asked about, children not really adopting it, saying things like they need to help their parents and all of that. It's something that we see too. For instance, Women in Tech, we run this course every year for 1,000 girls and women across pan-Nigeria, to help them embrace tech skills and transition into tech roles. And in most rural areas, we hear things like this, where the women would say, or the parents would want their sons to take those roles and say the girls need to do house chores or they need to help them at home. And, we say that is what we're trying to fix with programs like this. So we actually need the girls to do it. And then what no one can deny is that success sells itself. You don't allow your daughter to do it. Someone else allows their daughter. And then you see how that just lifts up the livelihoods of such family. You know what? The next time you'll be the first person to say, you know what, how can you help, my daughter to get those skills? So what I'm saying in essence is that we should also document good work and we should document the success stories of these ladies. It helps to encourage other people as well. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Yes, so thank you very much for setting that context in terms of responding to that. Especially, I love the fact that you talk about documenting, because that's something that would definitely aid or assist in this area. And then in terms of the school curriculum, Dr. Isa also wanted to add to that as well. Dr. Isa, please, can she get a microphone?
To answer the question about the curriculum, I kind of feel I need to face, because I'm talking to them. Okay, in the Nigerian curriculum, we don't have a subject called STEAM or STEM. However, we do have the sciences, and there's ICT, Information Communication Technology. For those schools that offer alternative curricula, yes, you include more. In the ICT curriculum, we have the coding and programming as specific subjects. But we're in Nigeria, so we'll go back to the Nigerian curriculum. The ICT curriculum is ICT and not necessarily very technical, with the programming and coding is not included. However, most schools are offering these as extracurricular clubs. This is why earlier someone alluded to that try these things out, find them out. What I will encourage as parents is, there is no school on earth that will solve all your children's problems. That school does not exist, because each school will have at least 10 children. And those 10 children have 10 different sets of needs. And the school does not have the capability in terms of human resources and material resources to meet all the needs perfectly. However, you can find the best size for your pocket and for your child. And then you make up for the rest. So that's that in terms of curriculum. In terms of additional needs, whether it's the Dandy Walker, I had to Google it because I've not heard that one before. And I said, okay, it makes sense. It basically is a neurological developmental delay, basically, in some of the functions. When a child is behind, in simple terms, the school, you have to partner with the school to address the child's needs. The child will not make progress at the at what is called the typical, rate of development. And so there needs to be a firm handshake between you and the school to say, okay, where is Joy at? If Joy is 6 years old, but neurologically or maybe linguistically her language is age 4, then her motor skills, her body is age 2. You have to put all those things into consideration and not put her in primary 2 with the other 6-year-olds. Is that clear? So we need to know our children. We need to find the specialists who can do these assessments to help us, with those things. And please, please remember, the school is not the only person managing your child. As a parent, you are, and you need to be active in that relationship. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. All right, very quickly, Tommy, you wanted to answer the question around changing the narrative, being the only girl in the room, or perhaps being overlooked for being the girl in tech.
Okay, thanks, Ayo. I think I will try to answer directly to what she said, maybe like finding a voice to progress our career. I think for me, the first thing is the research has shown that in the workplace, women are expected, there's a stereotype of an expectation of how we behave. Give an example. Men are expected to display more assertiveness, to be more vocal, to be more competitive. And and women are expected to be more communal, more amiable, more nocturnal. Now, that experience is exacerbated when you are the only female or maybe you are a lot more men in that location. Now, it's important that you, first of all, understand that we all know the word say power is not taken. It's not given, it's taken. And the Bible also said that the violence taketh it by force. And so the truth is that you need to first make sure that you start to test it out. I think I like that she came out to talk, and that's the first step, to test it out in other scenarios, socially. Try it out, because it's almost like testing. You try it out, it worked. You affirmed yourself in little things. You will do it in bigger things. I've had a scenario whereby I was in a program, and I was the only female out of 15. And during a session, they called the man to speak. And when he got to my turn, he was speaking to me, and he said, he said, where are your other females? Oh, they're busy wearing lipstick. And I said, oh, I'm wearing lipstick and I'm here. So it's just that expectation that women in tech are supposed to look like they're carrying a backpack or wearing t-shirt and looking like a man. But because I was wearing lipstick and I had nails, I was like, I'm wearing lipstick and I'm here. So that cuts off all of that perception that you can't wear lipstick and look a certain way. But I just think that the woman first have to find her voice, and you need to know what you are looking for. And also just keep testing with little things, affirming little things, standing your ground, and knowing that it's a perception. At the end of the day, you want to be more respected than liked. Everybody can like a teddy bear, but remember that sooner or later they'll remember that I respect this person. I just realized that I would rather be respected than liked. And so be okay with the fact that everybody won't think you are the best thing since you're jollof rice. You're not meant to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be respected. And sometimes it's used to bring, to hold women bondage, this desire to be liked, to just want to be the good girl in the room, don't ruffle feathers, just stay on your lane, and that has limited a number of women. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hussein, now the question on lifestyle, embracing or promoting technology as a tool, getting more people to use it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question as well. So for me, I always like to backtrack. Everyone is trying to build a product these days, but I think that one critical thing we're not doing is thinking if this product is actually needed, right? So we need to ask questions, we need to do research. First of all, understand, are we building a product because we've done research, we've gone out to ask people what they actually need, and is this something that is actually going to help them in their various lives or activities or whatever it is they're going into. Like earlier said, I like to make life easier for myself and for people as well. So I have a lot of apps on my phone that help me do things and simplify processes for me. So one is understanding the customer's need. Is it an app that you've built because customers can actually use it effectively and it makes their life easier one way or the other? The second thing is still around value proposition. What extra value is it added to them for them to actually download that app and go through a sign-up process? It's very, very critical for you to think about. So the target market you're also looking at, do they have people who, for example, I guess they can find coaches there, they can find mentors there, but is there, for example, an easier way for me to find a mentor without going on the app and downloading it and putting in all of my information and probably waiting for somebody to verify that my information is accurate before I get a mentor? Or can I just walk into, for example, a fair or call up one of my aunties or my uncles or one of my friends or a colleague and say, oh, I'm looking for a particular mentor, where can I find one? And in 2 seconds, they found me a mentor. So it's very, very, very important for us to look at or identify the needs of these customers and build this product based off of those needs. And two, what is the value proposition that this app is adding to their lives? And the third thing is, what is the incentive added to this app? So if for example, you find that Bata by Flutterwave, for example, if you refer somebody to use Bata or to download Bata, you get a certain amount of money. So what are these incentives that are added onto this app or are encouraging other people to download and actually use this app? So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's a very good point. Are you creating services or perhaps technological solutions that are needed, or is just what you think people need? Excellent. Thank you.
Yes. I just want to quickly add to that. So at one of my very first jobs, when I was testing code and also coding, one thing that we did very intentionally was get people who would be the actual users to come in and create it along with us. I think that a lot of times when tech people are creating solutions, we create them thinking of ourselves. And we create them thinking, I think Sholakwe had mentioned earlier, about how we just create these things and the design even sucks. So you and I can use it, but people that are not tech people, they don't understand it and it's annoying to them, so they will not use it. So I think it's very important for you and your organization to maybe find the actual users, call them into, like some sort of a meeting. You can call it like some sort of user testing meeting and have them give input into it. Because the truth is that it might just not work for them. And just like Husseina was saying, maybe they even have easier ways of finding the solution. Also, I think that it's also important, if you have done that, to then speak to it in a way that they would understand. So storytelling. So right now, I run an organization that runs programs. And a lot of times, the parents that we speak to about technology, we come down to their level and we explain it to them in a very simple storytelling form. How if your daughter signs up for this program, this is how it's going to progress her life. Because if you don't do that, they're just going to be like, you want my daughter to be on a laptop or on a phone or, whatever, just scrolling, or pressing phone. Sorry, that's what they like to say, pressing phone. You know what I mean? So you have to explain it to them in a way that they will understand. And that usually means getting people like them or from their community to explain it to them, right? So it's just, kind of balancing the solution with the actual user's needs. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. The last round of questions, and then we'll wrap up this panel. But so please, can the three people, I know Dr. Biloye had a question. We had the lady in purple, please. Kindly come to the microphone.
Good afternoon and happy International Women's Day. My name is Nana Odejai, and my question really is to ask for advice as to source of funding, because I'll explain. I used to work with Oracle, and Oracle, they have these projects that they want to do. They want to train about 50,000 people, young final year students and maybe young adults, young graduates in technology, and the tracks are HR, finance, and sales. So, and also cloud technology. And I was asked to handle this project because I used to work with Oracle. And what they want to do is they will have free access to the servers of Oracle, so they can connect from wherever they are. But then there's a cost to the certification. It's going to be a 6-month course, and they will have continuous access to their server. And I was asked to get the funding for just the certification, and it's been a challenge. For Nigeria, they're expecting us to train 1,000. And the minimum we can start 1,000 students. And the minimum we can start with is 500.
Okay.
And it's called employability skills, so that it will help them to get jobs. And they can also, those that sponsor, they can also pitch to those that sponsor, and they can also give them jobs. And maybe the reason why I'm passionate about this is because...
So your question, Ma, just so that we can, because of our time.
I just want you to understand. The reason why I'm passionate is because I actually trained as a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist, but I veered into IT, and I became an Oracle database administrator, and I became a software engineer, and it just took me to my next level before I eventually moved into banking. And so I'm passionate about it, how it can help. It was just the Oracle certification that helped me.
Okay.
And so this certification is available. So what are the source of funding? Because I was telling someone that I'm even ready to make sure that I get more ladies into it than men, just to empower them, particularly looking at...
So you're asking a question around funding. How
yes.
can we get funding? Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. All right, we have a funding question. The next question, and then Dr. Biloye to wrap up this conversation. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Adama.
Just a quick one. Women leveraging technology, but we find out that women over 35 years old, there's this age limitation for women that are over 35, because you see so many scholarships online and they tell you it's just for women between the ages of 18 to 35. So those women that are over 35, over 40, that wish to...
What are the opportunities for them?
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So over 35, maybe, anyways, anyone can answer in case you've had the opportunity. Mr. Dama, please.
Good evening, Dr. Pastor Shiju, and my, sisters, all protocols observed. I really want to reiterate on what Folake said. Honestly, it's been an amazing day. I need to say something. We need to give Pastor Shiju a round of applause for planning this for 4 days. We just started this for Friday. For Lucio, I was telling you about it, and Shalakwe, I just called you guys over the weekend. Now, it's actually not really a question. It's a question, but it's also a comment. Folake said something regarding multinationals looking for women. They're not just looking for women as staff, as employees. They're looking for women on board. I've missed 2 boards, Doyin Zawe and Kemi, because I'm not finance and I'm not tech. Tech is key. And like the last lady that asked the question regarding the age, honestly, to me, age is no barrier. If you could still start something, you are never too old to do anything. You're never too old to achieve anything. I mean, we might laugh over, Pastor and Pastor Shiju and Pastor. they're just joking because they do a lot even on their own. We can do a lot. I'm just talking to women like myself that are not into tech. We can do it. It's not even if it's rocket science, we can. So I just wanted to really, and then so the question is, where can we, older people, older women, get the training to, because, we are young, yes. Thank you, Doi. Because enough of this stuff, you can't be more than 35. It's a lie. You can achieve anything if you believe it, like you say.
Absolutely.
So that's just one point I really want to. Anyway, in a year's time, you'll see me.
Yes. That's the spirit. That's what we want to see at the end of today's seminar. Thank you so much. That's a really great point. Okay, so we now
It's not a question, but a comment, and it's just so perfect, following Folake with what she's just said. I have an 84-year-old mother, and her incentive to be computer literate is communicating with her grandchildren. My mom can WhatsApp, she can YouTube, email, and whatever she wants to do. And her learning platform is on YouTube. So if we don't have colleges to go to, YouTube is an amazing platform to learn new skills. I learned PowerPoint and Excel on YouTube. So we're not at the level of these awesome millenniums, fantastic children that we're awesomely so proud of. But at least you can have a daily interaction with technology by self-teaching on YouTube. Thank you.
Excellent.
Fantastic, yes. Pastor Chiju. I'm glad I came.
Thank you so much, Ma. That's a very good point. Many learning resources online, and YouTube is a fantastic one. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. My question is directly to Dr. Shiju Iluyomade. And the question is not particularly concerning what we're talking about today. It's actually a personal question that I've been looking for an avenue to ask this question. All right. So, number one is, we've been hearing a lot of success stories when it comes to women in leadership, irrespective of your field, technology, medicine, whatever it is that you are doing, but you are doing great, a great job, and you're also a married person. Now, how do you actually cope, or how do you find time to really take good care of yourself and your marital life, family life as a whole, and the leadership, role that you also have to play out there? Because these are questions that I'm sure so many people have at the back of their mind, but somehow they don't come out to talk about it. And lastly, the question is, is there any support system for women? Because from my own little experience about life, I know that women are also the problem of women. Men to an extent, they help
actually,
themselves.
that story is last year. We've stopped it. It's now women supporting women.
Okay, well, this is my own personal experience because I had, something like that, sometimes ago recently, okay? So, do we have support, platform for women in such a way that, we are always there? Yes, probably because we are on this religious platform, we don't have the choice other than to do that because we go through our Bible. But outside there, how do we get support for women? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good questions. And I think it's a fine way for us to wrap up the conversation. I'll come to Dr. Shiju last so that she can wrap up the conversation in terms of responding to Dr. Biloye's question. But let me start with the question around funding. The second for age-appropriate, training opportunities for over 35s especially. Mrs. Sanusi, did you want to respond to one of them? Okay. The age one. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a good question around age because I know quite a few people think that at a certain age, you're really no longer marketable. But honestly, in the techie world, that is not really true. I know somebody that I met during COVID. She was kind of getting into she was about 43, 44, and she's an architect. And, she was asking me how she could get into tech. And I asked her, what do you like doing? She said, designing. And I said, have you heard of UI UX? It's building. So it's a part of technology where you build interfaces that attract customers to your application, So you put kind of nice designs that are catchy. And honestly, right now, she works for SAP from being an architect, she's in Silicon Valley in San Francisco working for SAP. So you just need to understand where your strengths are. There's that space in IT because tech cuts across oil and gas, education, medical. There's medical engineering now. So wherever you are, you just need to identify where your strengths are and look for that space in the tech world. And my advice is also look for where the hot spots. So there are some jobs that are hot, what's trending. There was time it was cyber. So if you post for cyber, you get something. So sometimes you be practical. If you want to go in, go to where you can easily get hired. Don't go to an area that is already saturated. So my advice is those two things. Where do you think your strengths are? Identify that space in tech, and then go to the hot spots where they're looking for people, because they are looking for people. When I say they, most industries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really useful. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So to that point as well. So a few weeks ago at work, we ran a training called Agile training, and the Agile training was for young people. It was for youth. So people essentially under the age of 30. And I had a few people call me above the age of 30 and ask me if they could sign up. And I said, why not? I think sometimes when we see those age limitations, we're like, oh my God, let me not sign up because I'm not that age. Sign up. What's the worst that will happen? When you get to the end, they will say no. But try, because I've actually seen a lot of people who have gone ahead and they've gotten in. So we had these women with us on the training, and they enjoyed themselves and they learned a lot, right? The second thing I wanted to talk about is reverse mentorship. So I think that there is value in all generations. So we're talking about tech, like maybe tech is like God or something. It really isn't. It's a tool. Technology is actually just a tool that we are all using to make our lives better. There's so much value that the older generation have. And so I believe that there needs to be a lot more reverse mentorship, right? So some of you are mentoring young people in leadership. She's asked you a great question. How do you juggle everything? A young person, come and teach me how to use Instagram. Come and teach me how to use Twitter. And you are both teaching each other. So I think that there's actually a lot of opportunity that we can all leverage and learn from each other back and forth. There's an older lady I know who learned how to use Twitter via reverse mentorship. The guy that she was mentoring, she said, you know what? I'll mentor you. I don't mind answering all your questions, but come and teach me how to use Twitter. And now she tweets more than me because I cannot even deal with Twitter personally. You know what I mean? So it's very important. The last one was on funding. So I co-founded an NGO called 7 with Love Foundation. The easiest way to start getting funding is from within your own circle. So find out how much does the training cost. You said about 500 women have to go to the training, right? How much is it for one person? Start with people within your community. Once you have done like 5, 10 people, and you tell your story. I love how you even told your story about how you were able to transition and how your transition did ABCD for you. When you tell that story, you tell it on LinkedIn, tell it on Instagram, people will start giving you money, 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K. And before you know it, you would actually have an NGO that is running. But we can talk more about that after as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Felicia. And there was one more question. Okay, so we answered the age question, funding question. So over to Dr. Shiju Liumade for the last question.
Dr. Abiloye, thank you so much for your question. Last year I was with you, the resident doctors. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for having me. There's just something that is innate in everybody, and that is knowing how you tick, what drives you, what is your passion. When I started talking this afternoon, the first thing I said, if you do remember, is that I love women. I don't get it, but in every woman, whether wealthy, whether young, whether old, I'm kind of drawn to them. I want to know how they're faring, how can I help, what can I do, how can you help me, how can our tribe, as Ayo said, how can this community of women assist each other? In Arise, we say, arise for a woman today. And it is important that that passion is very ingrained in you. And you must keep focus. I'm somebody who is very courageous. I don't understand no. It's not in my dictionary. My children laugh. They said, Mom, they said no. I said, I can't hear it. Whether I'm abroad and then the policy says no, listen to me, policies are being reversed for me. That I can tell you. So, for anything you're doing, you need that passion, that drive, that courage, that boldness to keep pushing. Funding doesn't come easy. Funding comes honestly from nowhere. We sit here, we say he for she. There are some he for she. And there are some she's that have money that are not giving she. I've seen it all. So, when we sit like this, in this leadership and celebrating International Women's Day, we need to look at ourselves. I can be the richest person in the world, though. I really would love to be able to showcase what money can do. I admire those who came, whether it's Vasco da Gama or Mango Park. I don't know what they were looking for. Or the people with religion that said, oh, they wanted to come. You had nothing more to do with your money than to come to Black Africa to build churches, schools, and hospitals. But they did it with their money. And I know that if I have this money in my hand, I will transform this nation. That I can tell you. Because it's so easy. It's either you love people or you don't love people. Even when we're debating politics or no politics, politics shouldn't be about tribe. It shouldn't be about discrimination or some silly thing that maybe we're still hung up about. It should be about wealth creation. It should be about our environments getting better. It should be about access to hospital, access to education. There's also an innate problem. You know, Nigerians, we are just behaving like sycophants. We mouth things. But I tell you, somebody mentioned it also here. Show me your scorecard. You don't come out for an election and you have been quiet for 8 years, 10 years, and you want me to vote for you? I will not do that. I wouldn't. I want to see what you're doing for the masses of our people, for the people who need this help. Women are dying every day from simple things like you are an obstetrician and a gynecologist. How many poor women are dying in the hospitals every day just to give birth? How many are dying from malaria? I said, check the statistics of those things which you think are pushing the narrative even in politics. Those things pushing the narrative in politics are wrong. The things that should be pushing the narrative in politics is how many hospitals are being created, how many schools are being created, how many go to bed hungry. These are the things I want to know. Arise has the Arise Women's Farmers Foundation. I am passionate about the things I do. So I don't look at time. Then, from school, my classmates are here. I've never been untidy. I've never been. I have a friend, she said, did you just iron your hair? So I've loved clothing. For me, I celebrate, I celebrate being a woman. Everything feminine, everything beautiful. I am a woman. I don't want anybody to tell me, don't look like one. I want to look like one. I love looking like one. And at the same time, I pull up my boots and I go into the hinterland because that is what life is all about. At the end of the day, I will give account of my stewardship. What will I tell God I did? What did I do? Did I visit the sick? Did I clothe the poor? Did I feed anybody? Is my life all about finery? No! So for me, these are the things which drive me. It has driven me forever. As in Form 1 in Queen's College, I had a friend, I won't mention her name, we will be talking about the change in a nation under a tree. Were you in the boarding house? The others, my bunkie is here. My bunkmates, they used to think maybe we were a bit off. Because I'm passionate about nation building. I'm passionate about changing the status quo. It's not all right for us to accept. Women equality or equity, even in law, means that You are entitled. You have a right to a good life. I have a right to a good life. It's not something which should only be for some and not for others. The difference between other nations in the West, when they put an escalator, it is not for the elites. It is put in public faces for the poor man to use. That is what it is put there for. Or for the disabled to be able to climb up an elevator for them to go up. But when you put it here, it becomes something of a status. You are suddenly rich because you have an elevator. No. So these are the things that we women collectively should be speaking on. Funding you could get from men. I don't mind. If my husband gives me the money, I'll take it. That's why I don't want to spoil anybody's computer. Because I need my money to do something else. So funding, which was also the question I wanted to ask my panelists. I was very interested in tech because I think tech will make me very rich. I don't know. How do you help me to multiply my income? So, my dear doctor, there's a lot for you to do. And in the place where you are at, the nation needs you. We need to speak to women's health. Somebody said, was it you that said they developed Google? Or they developed an app which doesn't talk about menstrual cycle? Yes. They developed an app who doesn't talk about menstrual cycle. And even in this week, we are burying a lady. Today, in fact, we are burying a lady because she went to do fibroid operation. It is something we experience as black women. Yep. Either our wombs are taken out, then your husbands or your partners can label you as empty vessels. Even after you've had 7 or 8 children, they could use it as an abusive or derogatory word. Or, the woman feels a sense of loss. How does she handle this? How does she deal with this at the time of her life? Or when she suddenly should. These are things we need to discuss. Women, I want us all to be rich, honestly. When we have that we will change the nation. Remember, the children, whether male or female, they belong to us. I'm not going to discriminate between my male child or my female child. The likelihood is, even our parents in the village sent the children to school. They would sell their wrappers, sell their little jewelry, and send these children to school. Your mother or your father would never have been a doctor or an engineer or smelt the university or even come to Lagos if these women did not work hard. It is the woman who drives this nation, and the women must arise.
What a powerful way to wrap up this panel session. Please, a round of applause one more time for our amazing, excellent panelists for the final one for today's series. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sholakwe Akinpelu. Thank you, Mrs. Tomi Majakodumi. Thank you very much, Mrs. Folake Sanusi. Thank you very much, Ms. Husseina Yesufu. Thank you very much, Dr. Shiju Iliyomade. Thank you very much, Mrs. Folusho Badamosi. One more time, can we honor them as they rise for a group picture?